Hey everyone, I am back from vacation. I've taken a little break and we are going to hit the ground running today. My guest is Juli Bennett, who is the owner of a private school and also a company called Bennett. Everyone knows in our area, every day is different. Set aside the pandemic and the hurricane and the power outages and killer hornets and the other fly have issues with, and I literally got the best of the best. We're going to talk as parents and then also what's going on in Juli, thank you so much for joining me today.
Hi, Stacie. Thank you. I guess you don't have any power at your house after the storm yesterday, huh?
I don't. I'm sitting. No, I have power. I have no Wi-Fi. So I have Comcast, which I was all ready to go in my office in the house. And I'm now in my car. My car do okay, but I have power and I heard you have power as well.
So you're fading in and out a little bit.
Okay.
Not sure why. That might be a little bit better.
Okay, good.
That's good.
So are we good now?
Yep, now we're good.
All right. So today we're going to talk as parents. I, for one, have anxiety about my 3 kids going back to school. I can only imagine people in public school at Great Valley, in the private sector, in what we can do and what we've learned from the last quarter. Knowing that my 3 kids did not do well the last quarter, I'm now asking you, what can I do as a parent to motivate my kids that start up in a couple weeks?
Yeah, it's I'm in the same boat. So I've got 4 kids, as you know, 2 going back to college, 1 going into high school. And, you know, it's interesting in our business, we're seeing a lot. We're getting a lot of phone calls from parents. And so I want to share a couple of tips today for parents, because some of the calls that we're fielding are exactly what you just asked. How do we keep them motivated, especially if they're going to be a hybrid, like a lot of districts have announced, or other districts have announced that they're going to go full virtual. So here's a couple of things. First and foremost, I believe full-heartedly that our schools are going to do 100% better than they did in the spring. Let's face it, they were kind of thrown into a massive hurricane, told to figure it out and do something they had never done in the past. So my first belief is that it's going to be 100% better, and they're really working on keeping the kids engaged in the schedule that they're going to do. So have faith in your school district that it is going to be better. I'm talking to teachers. They're working really hard to make this a more engaging process for them. The second thing is try to offload that responsibility. What I saw is a lot of parents had to become teachers, and they had to now organize their kids' educational system. And I use this great analogy. Kids are kind of like workers, right? If you have a job and you go to your job every day, you know what your expectation is, you show up, you do your job, you go home. Kids went to school all their lives. They go to school, they know what the expectation is, they show up every day, they move from class to class, do their homework, they know what the expectation is. When you're an entrepreneur, you show up every day, you don't know what your day is going to bring. It's a roller coaster. You got to figure it out every day, and you got to motivate yourself, and you need to learn to handle problems and situations. What kids are doing right now with virtual learning, that's like them being thrown into entrepreneurship. They don't know how to organize. They don't have the skills to organize all of the different emails they're getting, the subjects they're getting, their online learning that's doing. So if you can enroll your kids in organization classes, work with them on that more than anything, making sure they have a workspace and something to help organize. We use whiteboards in our house, so it helps everybody stay organized. That's a huge tip in understanding that that's part of the process on top of the learning that's taking place. I think the third tip is, if you can, right, what happened is parents became the executor of their kids' education in the spring. And so parents went from having a parenting role at dinner to now all of a sudden they were doing this. Did you get your homework done? What did you learn in class? Did you attend the lesson today? It's just, like my daughter says, nag, nag, nag. And that's taken all the fun out of that relationship that we have with our kids. So, offloading that responsibility and finding somebody, we're offering at our company virtual education tutors who will check in with kids once a day for an hour. Did you took that class and that lesson, but did you actually learn the lesson? Because not all kids can learn virtually. So they check in and ask them, did you learn the lesson? Let's review that lesson you took today. Let's review what homework you have coming up. How can I help you with the homework? Let me oversee this, and work with them on some executive functioning skills and organizational skills for them. And that's a really easy fix because that takes that load off of the parents, especially working parents like you and I.
And you bring up an awesome point, because whether your child is going to be at home learning virtually or doing the
I can't hear you.
Which is 2 days
I can't hear you.
on, 3 days off, but a lot of these schools are just online. Am I good? Are you there? Oh no. Can you hear me, Joel?
I can hear you. I can hear you right now, but I couldn't hear anything of what you said, Stace.
Okay, here's my point. Everybody's doing virtual learning. Some schools are going back private. Those that are not, and I think that those that are going back will eventually be back to virtual learning. So parents who are working full time, they can hire a company like yours to oversee their kids and make sure that they are on task. Is that right?
Yes. Yes. Matter of fact, we're talking to several large companies, HR departments, and HR now realizes this is a big problem for people that are working from home, and they're looking at offering it as a benefit along with childcare or elder care. They're looking at the total package and saying, how can we help these parents navigate education?
Okay, very cool. So let's take a look at this. One-on-one tutoring, translating, interpreting. So let's say my child in general just needs organizational skills and I'm working full-time. I can hire your company and they will have someone talk to my child once a day or follow up a few times a week to make sure that they're on task and that they are organized, correct?
Yes, yes. Take
Nice.
the burden off of the parent.
And you also offer test prep, so like SAT and ACT, or what kind? Oh my gosh, this is great.
We do all of that, test prep. We do subject tutoring. We've been doing that for over 35 years. And the other thing we're offering too is learning pods. We've had a number of parents call us, right? They read in the New York Times. Everybody's writing articles about micro schools and learning pods. And because we have a large staff of teachers, we are offering learning pods. But I think there's a lot of confusion around that. I want to take a moment to kind of clear up for parents as we're fielding these calls. So a learning pod is a parent wants to hire a teacher and have them come to their home, and they're going to put together a small pod of kids, 4 or 5 second graders, 4 or 5 fourth graders, have one teacher come in and teach 4 to 5 hours a day, the curriculum. Here's where the confusion lies. Last year in the spring, there was no more attendance requirement, right? We were thrown in the dishevel. They waived all this stuff. This year, it's not going to be the same. If you have signed up for virtual learning or you are going to do their hybrid program, you have to show up for those classes so your attendance is counted for school attendance to make sure you have 180-day schooling. If somebody is thinking about doing a learning pod and actually having a teacher come and learn and know how to write the curriculum and teach those kids, they have a more difficult choice because the virtual learning is spread out throughout the day. When are they going to have a teacher come learn? It's not as simple as just saying, hey, instead of my kid taking virtual learning, I'm going to learn. That's called homeschooling. And parents can do that. There are a massive number of parents right now choosing to pull their kids out. It takes a little bit of paperwork. We have the paperwork available for parents to do in Pennsylvania. Once they file the paperwork, they take them out, they hire a teacher instead of them doing the homeschooling. Now they school them. If in January the schools go back and they choose to integrate and put their kids back into school because their schools are back in, they just re-enroll them. But what they can't do is say, I'm going to do the virtual and then their child not show up for virtual.
Right.
Right? Because that's going to be too many absences. So that's why we think the virtual assistant is more likely. Let your kids go to the virtual school. Let them have that interaction on Zoom. But if they're not a really good learner from the virtual school, hire a virtual tutor or assistants to help them at the end of their day, or check in with them to make sure they did understand it.
I love this. I feel so much better as a parent talking to you about this because of what happened in the last quarter for all my kids. And it was a learning curve for everybody, for the schools, for the teachers, for the kids, for the parents. Yeah. And just by you saying like, it's going to get a lot better. And not only that, we also offer these services to parents and kids, because my kids, obviously, they're not good virtual learners, and that's okay. But knowing that your company provides this service, I'm like, all right, sign me up. This is awesome. So it's back to basics learning. And how can someone sign up?
They can call us. They can go to our website. They can, we've, our education coordinator, Angie Carbine, they can send her an email, Angie, ANGIE at backtobasicslearning.com. They can always reach me as well. But yeah, all of our information is on our website. We can certainly post a flyer. I would say my daughter was in the same boat in the spring. And not only that, but college kids. So let's talk about that for a minute, because I've got 2 in college. They had a really hard time. Some schools did a great job, some did not. And so college kids are in the same boat, only they've got more rigorous course load, and their teachers are pre-recording it because they've got kids all over the country that are watching it. So they're not live. Most of them are not live. They're pre-recorded. The kids are having a hard time learning off of that. So same thing, the virtual learning tutor can help them do that. The other thing too, we talked about motivation. So a lot of the virtual learning are hybrid when the kids are home. They have a block schedule in the morning, and then they have an hour and a half to 2 hours open. That's lunch, recreation, whatever. And then they have maybe math in the afternoon. And we've seen this with the Great Valley schedule and TE schedule. That's where parents are like, my kids get disengaged. How do I get them re-engaged for the next one? That's where you can have in that 2 hour, hour and a half block, the virtual teacher come in and go through the day's work and talk to them so that they stay engaged during that period of time, just like they would for a normal school day. It does not have to happen at the end of the day the way traditional tutoring can be. It can be out throughout the whole day. And that's a big plus.
So, awesome. So let's talk pricing. So what is a low to high depending on what your services are for a virtual assistant?
So our virtual assistants are $59 an hour. And our learning pod teachers start even a little bit lower. And here's the thought around that. They're more consistent. They're going to be there 360 hours in the semester. If it's 4 days a week, 5 hours a day, or 4 hours a day, 5 days a week. And so it's a longer contract. Quite frankly, we're seeing, everybody and their brother hang out a shingle. I'll teach your kids. I tutored before. We don't operate that way, but they're charging anywhere from $65 to $100 an hour to do it. You and I both know by the time you pay that kind of money, you might as well pull your kid out and put them in private school.
Right.
That's what they're asking. So when we were looking at pricing, we were like, look, we want to make this doable so that we're helping more people, but not sinking them, because this is a time that people really need help. So we've lowered our cost on everything that we're doing this year so that we can help more people that are in need for it.
And again, Julie, this isn't your first rodeo. You have been doing this for a couple of years, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Matter of fact, all of the services that people are looking for right now, we've been offering for years, just not everybody's been looking for it. It's just COVID now is looking at it. Matter of fact, our school, we have our own private school, Augustine Hill School, and this is exactly what we do at our school, is what everybody's looking for right now, a micro school, that small group setting, one-on-one. That's exactly what we've been doing, just people have never looked for it before.
I love that. And you're right over the Pennsylvania border, so people can, from PA, they could sign up for your private school.
Oh yeah, yeah. And so when all the schools were closing in the spring, our school, we're already social distance. We're a one-on-one, or at the very most 3 people with 1 instructor, because school and the big school setting does not work for everybody.
Right.
And so there's lots of kids over the last few years that have high anxiety, depression, have had multiple concussions, fallen behind, maybe come out of rehab. The reasons vary tremendously. Traumatic experiences in their life that cause them to fall behind or not be able to go back into a regular school setting. And that's where our school has always come in. So we're actually already going to have learning pods scheduled for the younger kids this year, as well as we're getting increased calls. Our school is 6th to 12th grade. And so we're already getting increased calls for parents looking for alternatives this year for their kids. And primarily because they did fall behind last year.
I love this because you live in Malvern on the other side of town. I met you previously. I had no idea what you did. And now your company will be flourishing and going gangbusters, because everybody, I feel, has a need for this. You've answered all of my issues and all of my concerns. I will definitely be going on your website to register, because we don't know what the fall is going to be like. I agree with you. I think it will be better for parents and teachers and kids, whether it's virtual, hybrid, or back in school. We're much more prepared. We know what to expect. I love that you're like, you need to organize, get the whiteboard out. But I need that extra help. I am a working mom. Both parents are working. Joe, my husband's working hard. We don't have the time to spend with our kids and make sure that they're on task. So I love it's Back to Basics Learning. Is it backtobasicslearning.com?
Backtobasicslearning.com. Yep.
Giddy up. I love this. So everybody, and it doesn't matter if you're in Great Valley, Westchester, Downingtown School District, any school district.
Yep.
Just go on the website, take a look. If you're looking for more help like I am, this is an awesome, awesome option.
Thank you.
Do you want to end? What would you like to end with, Julie? What would you like to say? Anything?
Just, you know what, for parents that just have questions out there, call us. We've been doing this for a long time. Our education coordinator, she's been with us for over 16 years. Her only job is to match up parents with the right tutor and experience. So, you know, even if you just have questions about, is this right for my child? Should we do this? We're happy to answer those right now. Everybody's going to be looking. And I think just helping parents to understand what their options are and help them work through that confusion is more than enough. Business is going to come. It's booming. We've been expanding now up into Chester County for the last 2 years. And this has just created even more opportunity as more parents are looking. The other thing too, I should throw out there is we're hiring. And so, but we have some high standards, right? People have to have experience, teaching experience. We do background checks. So we have a lot of retired teachers that work for us. They may have let their certifications go because they no longer, you know, we're going to be in a traditional setting, but they have experience. But if anybody's looking out there, and we're also hiring for these virtual teaching assistants, especially if, you know, 2 of the companies we're working with have 11,000 employees nationwide, and only 7% of them are going back to campus, and they're going to be offering this as a benefit to their employees. So that's the other thing. If you work in a company and you want your HR department to look into offering this as a benefit, send them my way as well. You can even ping me on Facebook so that we can talk.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Another great local business. Thank you, Julie Bennett, for your
Thank
time.
you. Thanks for having
And
me.
yeah, and the ability to help other people, like especially during these times, to focus on local businesses like yours, to know that you're having an impact and that you can help anyone that has a child that's going through school is huge. So I thank you, and you're hiring. So
Yeah.
anyone with an education background, retired teacher, and other teachers, go on that website and give Julie a call.
Yeah.
Thank you so much again, Joel. I love it.
Thank you. Great to see you.
You too. Have a good day.